So I guess we'll just kind of like hang out for a couple minutes.
Of course, I immediately want to cough.
That's fine. It adds to the ambiance. I'm just gonna look at your illustration there. I haven't ever actually gotten to see it in person, but
Ooh, yeah.
The screen of it, so that's nice.
You can see all of the sections where I didn't know what to do. I just kind of made it really scritchy and sketchy and artistic.
Scritchy and sketchy and artistic is my vibe. So that's nice.
I don't know how the physics works here, so I'm just going to hopefully nobody notices that.
I remember you talking about just wanting to like do the smudgy thing and be like, I gotta like just smudge it to get it to like shade different parts. And yeah, that's fun.
I think it worked out though.
Yeah, I definitely did. Looks
yeah, I definitely want to. I'm like coming back to it. I haven't actually looked at this in 6 months, and I'm more impressed with myself than I thought I would be. I guess I was just in the zone at the time. But I do almost want to try this again in like an ink and marker setup and see if I could get the same kind of effect, but with cleaner lines, and see what that would look like. I almost want to try that.
Yeah, I mean, like based on like the higher contrast version of it that we, have for the cover, I think it would lend itself well to ink. And now that you're like more confident in your perspective lines, you can draw those decisive ink lines that yeah.
That's kind of why I want to do the ink and like a grayscale marker wash for the upcoming projects to see if to challenge myself, as well as I just like how it looks, honestly.
Oh, hey, Fancy. Nice to see you this morning. Thank you for
good morning.
Us. So I guess we can go ahead and start talking about our stream this morning.
And who I am, really, I think.
Yeah, we're going to be talking to Nicole at the Finkmobile on Instagram. She did the art for a lot of the adventures in the Pizza Versa book that Goblins and Growlers put out late last year. I don't know. Time has no meaning anymore. But she did some very cool art for I guess 2 of the 3 adventures, as well as the awesome cover art, which is what we're going to kind of be looking at today. We're going to look at drawing Fantasy Town. So Nicole, would you like to introduce yourself better than I just tried to introduce you?
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, I'm Nicole Fink. I have been doing art off and on for the last, I don't know, while, but in the recent year, I would say I got
decades.
What? Sorry, what?
Decade.
Yeah. Medieval reenactment group art is very different than illustration, but it is art nonetheless. So I, in the last year, thanks to COVID and all of the time and really mental space that COVID gave us, I guess it's the one silver lining we have with all of this, but I have really kind of gotten real serious about illustration and concept art and trying to bring my vision, I guess, of my creative vision to life, I think is the dream of every illustrator. I know that sounds lame, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying to achieve. Oh, thank you, Fancy. That's really sweet. Yeah, I put a lot of work into it, at least to the one I did with Sharon.
Yeah, it was really great to work with you because, we've worked together on a bunch of art projects before for different things. And, having sort of an idea of your existing creative vision and you having an idea of mine, we were able to like smush them together very nicely, and that resulted in like some pretty cool stuff for this book. And you asked a lot of really cool questions about like the world building and like the culture of the like the location of the story. And that really kind of helped build the rest of the plot in a lot of ways. So that was very cool too. And I think that the way that this cover image like conveys that world and that culture. I mean, it's like it's a town that's in the crater of a volcano, but it's like high fantasy, but it has like a little bit of sort of Avatar: The Last Airbender going on. It's great.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It was interesting, Sharon, with the cover, because like I know we had a lot of discussions early on about what to do with the cover. Initially, this wasn't supposed to be the cover. You were going to, I believe, take different elements from the illustrations that I did and put them together. But you just liked this so much that you're like, yeah, we'll just put this on the cover. This is too awesome.
Yeah, I had almost forgotten that, but yeah, we were going to, sort of have like a smoothie of images, like a collage of different things from the different stories. But then I saw this one and I was like, ooh, it looks like a magical journey. I want to travel down that street and see what happens. And that's exactly what I want people to do when they like look at the cover of the book, is be like, ooh, what's in there? And so yeah, pretty much as soon as I saw it, I was like, I think that's the cover. Can we just, okay, we want that to be the cover. So yes.
So I guess like we had a couple things planned. I have a couple things we can do to further explore the art of this, because like I think for me in particular, having never this is, to be honest, this was my first town scene I ever did. I had been working a little bit on perspective and a little bit on figure drawing and shading and that kind of thing. But I hadn't really put together a town scene before. And it was really intimidating looking on Instagram and other Dungeons and Dragons like art books, because you only see the finished piece. You don't see all of the work that goes into it. And it's almost really difficult to go, where do I start? How do I get a town that is my town and not necessarily a copy of another town, but how do I even begin? And so if you'd said that may be interesting, I can show you some of the process that I took to get to the finished piece.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. We've got some reference images that we can look at. So I guess taking a look at your original sketch here and asking, like, I want to know how you started. And like how you did all of the blocking, and maybe you can also talk about the different kinds of perspective a little bit too, because it's been a very long time since I actually took a formal art class. And when I try and draw stuff like this, I just make it up and I'm like, well, that looks about right. But in the end, does it really look about right? It looks maybe right-ish, but not actually accurate to like how perspective works necessarily. And then I think we've got some references that you wanted to look at and combine, and sort of we'll draw along with you as you sort of show us how to smush them together into something original. So yeah, take it away.
All right. So yeah, I love talking about this because I do appreciate anybody that cares, because it's amazing how much work goes into this kind of stuff. And I didn't even know about it at the time. So I guess I'll start with like the very first thing I did, honestly, was I did a top-down view of the angle that I wanted to. So I was like, what do the alleys look like? Where are they going to go? Because for me, when I see a lot of really prominent art streamers or illustrators, they can almost think in three-dimensional to begin with. Like they can start an isometric view and they can just build all of these wonderful drawings, and they can experiment already in perspective. Well, I'm not quite there yet, so I have to use 2D to understand what it is that I want to draw. So this was the very first thing that I did, was design what the street layout was going to look like. And this was me experimenting with like, this was a photo, and this was just me going, okay, where are the lines going for something like that?
That's really cool. I don't think I've ever drawn a location starting out by drawing it from top down, like bird's eye view. Like I've done lots of maps and I've done lots of scenes, but I haven't been like, I'm going to draw a scene, but in order to draw the scene first, I have to draw the map. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Like I guess for this, it's because I wanted like an alley shot, and I was like, what do I even? I wanted to show more than just two buildings. Like this picture was like, I felt like it had to be a little more open, like a market square. But a market square, if you see a bunch of photos of like a market square, there's almost too much stuff in there, and it's difficult to know what's going on. So I didn't want the people to have to be so small. But I also didn't want like an alley like this.
And it's hard to like cram like a 360-ish type of thing like onto a piece of paper where you can see like, oh, well, like you can go off this way and there's something, and you can go off that way and there's something. So I really like how you have like sort of that little like wedge-shaped building situation to like give you those two alleys. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. So this was the first very thing I did. And then here's the very basic sketch, like super basic. And you can see all of my, some of the drawings I did for the princess from the later one. But here is the basic sketch, and it is super rough. Like this is me just trying to understand the height and the shapes, and you can kind of see the beginning of the perspective here, like me trying to work out what this alley would be right here. This probably isn't right, to be honest. And I know this isn't right at all. Like this is completely not right, but it works because it's to the side and you're not necessarily staring at it. But I knew I wanted to see the castle in the background. I knew I wanted to get some height on things. And I also wanted to feel like it was a tight old town because of the longevity of the kingdom. So this was me just being very loose and kind of where people would be. And actually the colors on here, one thing that I added after, so I did the initial thing first, and then what I wanted to do was, I knew because of my inexperience, I was going to have to use more generic fantasy architecture, but I wanted to put my own spin on it. So I was like, well, what's the culture of this place? I didn't want it to be exclusively generic fantasy town. So I thought because of how strict the social classes were, that there would be a kind of authoritarian fascist kind of symbols or something to kind of show the lower class that they are in their place and that the upper class is always present. So I added all of those little, as you said, Fire Nation avatar things on buildings and flags, and trying to just add a little bit of a twist to what could easily be a very generic fantasy town. So that was that's kind of how I approached it. And also I'm finding,
I don't think I've ever seen this sketch before, or if I have, it's been really long. It's been so long that I barely remember it. So it's really cool to go back and look at it now that I like know the final version so well. It's really cool to see like all of the little different things happening. It does have a cute face.
Which building are we talking about?
It's got like little eyes.
I
think that's the one. It looks like it's got little eyes and a little gritted teeth, like going like one of those little. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. No,
it's just peeking out, saying hello.
That's too funny. No, the colors actually were because I was trying to figure out what the right balance was for all of those little like to add all the ironwork. The colors were where I was going to place the additional ironwork. So that's why I did it, was because I was like, okay, eyes, two front teeth, bubbly nose. It's too
Yeah,
funny.
one of the stones is like its little nose. Oh,
Right here?
yay.
Oh my goodness. I didn't even notice that. But yeah, that's what all the colors are there for, so I can get an idea. So it didn't feel overloaded with those little touches, but also that they were there and noticeable. That like even in the ironwork, and to be honest, I got the idea from Spain. In Spain, the Franco, the dictator that ran the country for like 30 years after the Spanish Civil War, he put so many of his icons and his symbols into the architecture itself. So sometimes you would walk around and you would see a yoke, like a cow yoke, just carved into a random thing, and that was one of his symbols. And so it was literally in the fabric and the architecture, and that's kind of where I wanted to put their symbols, even in a like a not just in a flag, but literally the pole that's holding up a like a regular store. Like you can, so that way you can kind of feel this oppressive thing. So that was my little spin I put on it.
Yeah, it is a very like present vibe, and like looking at the cover and not knowing the story, you can sort of tell that there's something going on there, but you're not sure exactly what it is. But then after like reading the story, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So
pretty cool.
Here was me working out the perspective. This was the block that I did, and at the time I was actually taking a perspectives class, and this is what the instructor did was when you had multiple vanishing points, he actually numbered them. So that's me numbering where things went.
Talk to me about vanishing points.
So perspective is honestly, it's not as scary as everyone thinks it is, but what it is putting things into perspective means when it's controlling the phenomena of parallel lines always converge at a vanishing point on the horizon. So so what that does is when like back in school when you did so this is the horizon line in the background, you would put the different points on, and depending if you were in 1, 2, or 3 point perspective, this was in 2 point perspective. 3 is really weird. 1 is not 100% applicable to this, but it's applicable to other things. But 2 point perspective basically means that your vertical lines will stay vertical, like they will not converge. They'll just stay parallel to each other. And then any horizontal lines on essentially either side, I guess you could say, will, if they're parallel, they will converge together. So this is essentially that physics phenomena. This is like how reality works. So like I don't know what else to say.
That was what we were going to cover in this stream, but we're gonna tell you how reality works.
Reality works. Parallel lines always converge at a vanishing point at the horizon. That's reality. So what that let me do was go, okay, well, to be fair, if you notice, some of these lines are kind of not 100% converging to where they should go, and that's because they weren't cooperating, and so I just kind of messed around with them a little bit. But like, for example, I knew that this set and this set had to converge to the same point. So that's what 1 is, but I kind of decided against it at the last minute because it wasn't working out. But like, that's what this is over here, and then that's what this is over here. Ideally, these should converge at the same point, but I decided against it clearly, I guess. I'm sorry. This isn't really good perspective because it's kind of all over the place, but it kind of helped me enough where I knew basically what this helped me figure out was this alley is not parallel to this alley. So these points had to go somewhere else. So that's what that really let me do. And then So, and then these buildings over here, if they weren't going to be like, so this line wasn't going to be parallel with this line. So this had to go to a different point. So it has to have a different angle than this. So that's really what that helps you do. If you look at like really like art industry professionals and actually try and map out their perspective lines, they're not always 100% right, because that's the whole point of art, is like, that's kind of the paradox of illustration. And sometimes drawing is you almost want to draw it like breaking the rules a little bit. Because it's almost, if you draw it absolutely perfect, it's like too clinical and it doesn't feel right, even though it's perfect. So that's what this helped. That's what essentially this taught me, was these lines had to be different than these lines because these were going elsewhere. And it helps things look more three-dimensional.
That's really cool. I don't think that I actually had, I don't think I've ever formally learned anything other than just how to do 1 point perspective. And like my memories of that are from like elementary school art class, where you draw like one little vanishing point and then you draw like a train track disappearing to that vanishing point, and like that's how you learned to draw that. So when we draw today, are we doing 1 point perspective, 2 point perspective, not 3 point perspective?
No. We'll do 2 point perspective. For sure. Yeah. We'll be doing 2 point perspective. Like for example, this is 2 point perspective right here. So this is all going to this point and this is coming down over here. I think I actually put it over here. Sometimes I'll like, if the point is off the map, I'll just literally draw it on my like board just because I'm just like, screw it.
Very good. Okay.
I hung up buildings too perfect. Yeah, it's interesting. Buildings being perfect. Like in fact, if you look at the Parthenon, that's kind of the urban legend of the Parthenon, is the columns aren't exactly right. Like they're not actually equally spaced.
They're like this instead of like this. Like they're more rounded down at the they're plumper down at the bottom. Yeah.
Or is it this way? Or I forget how they're drawn, but and they're also not equidistant, like because literally of the optical illusion. They're like,
oh no, my lighting is so bad here. They're like that.
Yeah.
So they're like curved and like plumper at the bottom. They're like nice little elongated pairs. So cute. So, I agree. Faux fancy. Trying to like do it pretty rough. Oof.
Yeah. So I can show you. Let me show you. Do you want me to show you a thing I was working on in 1 point perspective, actually?
Yeah. Take it away.
So this is a scene I'm working on for a different project, and it's I like decided to do it in 1 point because 2 point was like almost too chaotic. So this is what I'm working on right now. So like this is my vanishing point, and then like these all things go to this point. So this is essentially my horizon, and then I've got these chairs coming into there kind of thing. So
okay, yeah.
But like these chairs, since I'd wanted to turn this chair, I had to pick a different point. So and also this is in 2 point now. Since I turned it, the lines
they go somewhere else. Yeah.
These go up there and that goes over. I think I decided this point because this was not right enough. But yeah, so this cauldron looks way too flat. I like don't know how to make this more three-dimensional, but like
shading. After you shade it, it'll be three-dimensional then. It's fine.
It's fine. So yeah, so here's my little. These took forever though.
Oof. But they look very nice. It's like a feast hall or something, sort of.
Yeah. It's a modified sorting ceremony actually. So all of that's the stage. But yeah, that's where I got those little tiddly bits. Surprising, right? I picked it up from a feast hall.
Very good. All right. Well, I guess we should probably start drawing soon, because otherwise we might run out of time to like get some stuff on paper, because I always take a lot longer than I hope that I will.
Oh my God. Yeah. This stuff
following along, you know?
Yeah.
But let's see. Did you want to take a look at those references that you sent out?
Yes, let's do that.
All right. I will pull those guys up. Here we are. Yeah.
So I just picked two from the Oh, thank you, Fancy. That's very nice. I picked two because sometimes like I will get overloaded with references, and there's like almost too much out there. So sometimes it's better to have like just um, just a like a couple references. Like you can overload yourself at first, but then you have to. I have
Whittle
been
it down.
simmer it down so that way when you're actually putting in the details, you're only looking at a couple things because then it's also a lot of like your own creativity and what do you think looks good. So, but I picked these two references for two reasons. I really liked the composition in the one on the right, which is from Michael Humphreys. And these were original concept art for the Hunchback of Notre Dame from 1996, I believe it was. Yeah. And then the one on the left is a medieval cottage fantasy concept art from Samantha Kung, and that's her art station. She is fabulous, and and quite a few fabulous artists follow her. So I didn't realize how many. I think she's well connected into industry. So if you're looking to find new artists, she has a great page of followers with a whole bunch of different things.
Oh, that's just so cool, and it looks so nice. Look at those little trees.
Yes, I really like
how live there. Can I just live there?
I know, like I really liked how she integrated the tree, like the little pieces of life, literally on the rooftops. That's what I really liked about it.
Yeah, yes. You can. I want to go live on the roof and like pet the moss up there. I'm just like, this is nice. So nice.
So what I did over here was just trying to work out like where things were going on the one on the right. So this was me literally going, okay, where is this horizon? And where would these perspective lines be? So what I did to start was you have to find the horizon, which is really kind of gonna help you. And the way to do that, at least from what I'm doing, is from what, again, my skill level at the time right now is to figure out at what point does the drawing go from you're looking down on it to you're looking up at it. That neutral zone is approximately where the horizon is going to be. So if you see from like the sketch on the right, it's approximately where the awning starts, right over here.
Yeah. Okay. So should I draw a horizon line?
Yes. So I'll just draw here, and I guess you can draw along.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's do that. So I'm gonna just have like.
And Fancy, if you draw along too, we would love to. When we're posting about our stream later, we would love to share anyone who draws along renditions of little Fantasy Town sketches. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah, so this stuff obviously takes a whole heck of a lot of time. So my goal is just to try and get a rough block in of generally where the shapes are and hopefully maybe what general architecture we want to put in our little town or a little, I guess, alley of the town. So we'll just start with the horizon line.
All right.
And you can be very, like the class I took, oh my God, this is gonna be interesting because I'm looking at it from far away. But the class I took the guy had a T-square. So that way when you put the T part of the T-square ruler, it would be absolutely level.
Definitely
like you wouldn't have to guess it. But Sharon, I know you've done calligraphy enough to know that you can eyeball horizontal. So.
Ish. Yeah, this will all just be a lovely practice in like ish. Yeah. For me.
Oh yeah, this whole thing is ish. So I'm going to then try and get the face of that building. We're talking about the reference on the right. So I'm just going to try and get the face of that building, and I'm just starting with lines that don't worry about how far they go. So this is also going to help me determine this distance right here. So this is the face of the building, the face that's lit up. This is going to be my first reference measurement. So I know that the building is this wide. So then that way I can go, okay, approximately now, what's that rectangle? What's the rectangle look like? And we know that the awning is approximately where the horizon line is. So I'm going to guess the bottom is about right there. And then the top is going to come to maybe about right there because it's a pretty tall, skinny building. So this is me just blocking it out. And this is all very loose. This doesn't have to be, we don't have to get super detailed or just very loose. Just like, I think this is what I think the line is. Then it looks like I was about right. I think that perspective point's right there. So what I just did was I figured out that first perspective point for the stairs. So where the stairs are, and you can use your pen too if you do actually get, like if you're looking at the reference.
Mm-hmm.
The blonde building on the ridge pick.
Yeah.
That's the blonde building. The one on the right.
Yeah, the one on the right that's like facing out, I guess, towards the right. It's like the side facing us is like in shadow, but the side facing like the street is illuminated. That guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And feel free to tell me to repeat anything. I am not an art teacher, so I'm just explaining how I would break this down right now. So please feel free to tell me if something doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Fabulous. So I'm going to assume that is approximately the angle for the bottom of the face of that building. And then now we got to figure out the top. And since the top's much taller, that angle is, wait a second. That angle is going to actually be greater. So I think I actually want it a little bit less extreme, to be honest. There we go. So what's going to happen now is because the top, if this was right here, it would be the same angle. But since we're going to go higher, we have to have more extreme.
Mm-hmm. So I think the thing that confuses me the most is like the fact that roof is like a pointed roof.
Mm-hmm.
Like how you draw, I guess, I guess both lines of the roof. So I'll be quiet and watch what you do.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to start. I'm actually thinking in a box. That's a very good point. I'm actually not thinking about the roof right now because if I think about the roof, I'm going to confuse myself.
Okay, I'll stop thinking about the roof.
Actually, now that I see, I think the angle's a little too much. I'm going to move this perspective point over. It may not be exactly right, but I think that'll look a little bit better. That way we can show. And this is also where it behooves. It's good to actually work out these, like, this is a part where we can take our time because once we get these angles done, that's kind of setting a lot of the general look of the building. There, that looks a little bit better, right? So what this is essentially the face. And now I'm just drawing a box. So that roof is probably going to go up about here, but we're not going to get there yet. I'm drawing from, I'm just going to pull this up. I'm drawing from like right here. So this is the line I'm working on, not the roof itself. I'm kind of ignoring the roof right now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I have my little roof line and my little ground line.
Yep. So now we have to look at where the other perspective line is, since this is 2-point perspective. And this actually goes off the page. If you can see where that angle is, it's a lot shallower than this angle because we're kind of looking down into this alley. So this is actually going to go off the page. So I'm just going to make a little note kind of right over here about where it goes. Okay.
And that's you determined that second point is like where the line of the bottom of that building would disappear to, like the side that's in shadow that's like facing us.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes. So this is my building. I drew the other point at the top to that other vanishing point.
Okay.
So this is kind of my building. This is like the block out of it. Again, I'm not worried about the roof or all of the little pieces because we can add those on top and I guess add to it and kind of sculpt. And it's kind of like you have your block of clay. And I think some people like to block the entire thing and then cut into it, so to speak, and or you can add on top of it. And I like to add on top of it, at least right now. Maybe I'll eventually get good enough to cut into it, but I'm not there yet.
Okay. Oop. I was like, all right, I did the thing, and then I realized that I did not draw that whole other line. So hold on. Wow.
Yeah.
I think mine is like very mine is very exaggerated. I probably could have like stretched my lines out a little more, but I did not plan accordingly. So we have like a very angular situation over here, but that's fine.
Can I see?
Okay, let's see here. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it with my terrible lighting situation. So hold on, let's probably won't be able to, but let's see. All right.
Oh yeah, that was great. That was great.
All right.
We're not having to worry.
Yeah. See how it works out.
Yeah, that's fine. Because like this is kind of where the drawing cuts off right here. The drawing cuts off about right there. And to be fair, we probably could extend that out even more, but this is our building, so it doesn't have to be perfect. All right. I do like this roof, so I say we try and add the roof right now, because that's gonna be intimidating. And this is kind of where I'm gonna drop the ruler a little bit, because because sometimes it's easier to think about it not with a ruler. Because I want to. So I'm kind of thinking about where that is. So that's coming up here. So I have essentially kind of where this is going to stop. So I'm just continuing the line up, and I'm doing this really lightly just because it will. I can go over it with like something a lot more detailed later. So that is going to be about, let's see here. This was right here. Okay, so the roof kind of was about right there. I drew mine way too short. That's okay though. All right, so I've decided that this line is going to be the absolute corner here. That's what this line is going to be. And as you can tell, that there's a little awning bit that juts out from it. So I said this was my new perspective line.
Yeah, I think mine is gonna just be like a one-story building. Yeah. I'll still have that awning, but I think I do a little short too. But okay, I'm drawing the little curvy outy part to hold up.
Curvy outy part. Now, also the curvy outy part is in perspective too. So these lines go to that perspective point.
Oh yeah, good call there. Oh no. Yeah.
And that's where all this just takes practice, is because it's like, well, what? Like, so when I draw, so this line goes to this perspective point. This line goes to that other perspective point. Let's see, where am I? So instead of going horizontal, it's going to go down a little bit because it's going to the perspective point of this, because this is in parallel with that. And the thing is this doesn't have to be exact. I'm just kind of guessing, and I'm making sure that if you're going to guess, then you have to make sure that it's not more angled than this. Like, it has to fit within this angle. So it can't be like this, for example. It has to be a little shallow, but not horizontal, because if it was horizontal, it would be down here. And this is where, and like, if we were doing this as like a super pro industry, work for Blizzard kind of thing, we would put all of these lines and construction lines out, and it would be, you could go, like, that's probably what Samantha did to get her cottage to look so perfect, is she probably did quite a bit of perspective work to get everything to work perfectly. But that you don't have, I don't know. I don't think you necessarily have to make something look right enough.
Right enough is all that I'm aiming to learn.
Yeah.
Right enough will be more right than my right-ish, which was all I could manage before on these perspective drawings.
So what also helps me is to figure out like what the next blocks are going to look like. I'm right now I'm just doing the side of that building. So I'm not going to add everything from that building, but I'm just going to say we're just going to have that one column come down here, and then this comes down here. There we go.
So is that like the awning itself?
This is the side. This is this side right here.
Drawing.
So this is adding a little bit of like architecture to the thing. So I know that this is kind of, I'm sure there's architecture terms to all of this, like exactly what crown molding does to what and everything, but I just don't know them. So I just know that things look more real when they're not just squares. When they have like bits and like extra ridges and edges and things that look more than just a square. So that's what I'm kind of doing right now. And I know that there's going to be one on this side. So this point right here, I'm using my handy dandy perspective point, and I'm going to just, so this I know is over here. So this point is coming over here. We're going to carve this out, but I know that there's this block right here is also on this corner. So that's what I'm doing. I'm making sure that this is the same height as this. These two blocks are the same height. So we're just going to do that. It's not exactly right from the picture, but I don't care. That's what we're doing.
I have a question.
Yes.
That little thing that you just touched your pencil to. The little itty bit. Yes, that thing. But on the other side. That. But yes, there.
Yes.
Is this accidentally 3-point perspective now?
No.
Okay.
This is just a different. No.
I'm like, oh no, this is also going to be parallel to something, probably.
Technically, yes. Technically, actually, yes. This is because this line now breaks these parallel lines. These lines are all parallel to each other, not this line and not this line. So technically speaking, these two are parallel, and they would go off to some other perspective point. But
yeah. So technically yes, but for our purposes, no.
For our purposes, no. I mean,
okay.
3 points actually. 3 point is actually like so 3 point is imagine 3 point is where when you're drawing a box. Remember how I said that in 2 point it goes like this. This is your box in 2 point, or if you wanted to do. Oh my God, I'm not even looking at this. Let's see here. So that's 2 point, where this, I'm just exaggerating these for emphasis, but this is 2 point. Do you see what I'm getting at? Where these points converge elsewhere, but these don't. If you wanted to do 3 points, these these verticals would converge in their own perspective, in their own vanishing point. It just wouldn't be on the horizon. Yeah, so it's
okay. So if I were like at the very base of a building and the building stretched on into infinity, into the sky, and I'm like looking up at it, but also it goes forever out into the distance on both sides, and I'm standing right at the corner. Okay, visuals in my mind.
Yeah, that's 3 points here. So these are like the conversion lines here, essentially.
Cool.
But because most of the time in concept art, unless you're like making very dramatic or you're exaggerating something, you don't see it really used, I think, as much. I'm sure people do because they're amazing, but I don't know. I'm not doing 3 point at the moment. Maybe someday I will. So, all right. So I want to make this an actual column. So what I'm going to do is, how do they do this? All right. So we're going to figure out how far down this goes. What did I do here? Let me think a second. This comes down. Oh yeah, this came down here. I like literally did this 20 minutes ago, and because I'm trying to talk you through it, I'm like, wait a second.
I'm just trying to stay caught up here. I think I've got. Oh nope. Oh, I forgot to draw the other little little thingy here.
Okay, actually.
Mm-mm.
I don't know how our teachers do this all the time, where they're just like, okay, let me make sure I get this. I literally did this 20 minutes ago. Okay. So this is, all right. How do I want to do this?
Oh, yep, nope, that would be.
Okay, I want to go here. Yep. I'm just working through this. I'm sorry.
I tried to work on those little roof support things again, and I encountered another question and or problem.
Go ahead.
So the width of the little support there, how do you determine how wide the width is for the one that's closer to you to make it so that you can tell visually that they're the same size, but like you actually have to draw the one that's closer to you wider? How do you, is it eyeball?
Yes and no. There's actually two ways to do it. There is the eyeball technique, which is significantly faster than the true perspective technique. Because true perspective, what that would do is you would, to make a line, to make a width equal to each other in perspective, you have to pull that out of perspective. So I am not going to explain this right, but it's called, I know folks, and I think the term is it's a measuring line. So Lord almighty, if I wanted to do that, what I would do is I would pull this down. You pull it out of perspective so it kind of sits on another horizontal line, and you use the vanishing point to determine exactly how wide that has to be.
Sounds like visual cross multiplication or something.
It really is. Yeah, it really is. Actually, let me see if I can find a real fast. I am going to screw it up because I learned it 4 months ago.
We can wing it.
And winging it, I think, is what most people do, or at least unless you're doing something like what Samantha was doing. But basically, that point, that section has to be a little bit bigger than this other section. So for us to do that, we would just, what is this? This is coming off of here. So it would just be a little bit bigger, really. And it's going to follow that point. And since this is going to follow that point too, so this is going to follow the same point. So you know that these points are going to follow each other. All right. And then I'm bringing these down because I'm trying to create columns. All right, you know what? We're going to do this.
Are they going to be like squared off columns, or are they going to be round columns?
We're going to make them squared off columns for ease of explanation.
I was like, oh no. Please don't make me draw anything with a curve.
No. Curves in perspective are really difficult too. Yeah. Curves in perspective are really difficult. So the way that I think of perspective lines, also these should probably come down to some point too here, but whatever, it's fine. So the way I think of perspective lines is contour lines from figure drawing, how it can make things look round and more there's more form to it, there's more volume. That's kind of what I think of perspective lines. They kind of everything doesn't have to be so perfect, but enough things should be in perspective that you they're like contour lines for buildings. It adds volume. So, all right.
A visual touch point to make sure that you're grounded in some version of reality.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. All right. I think I've got my little column guys about where yours are. Yeah. They're a little more sketchy, but I accept them for who they are.
Yeah.
I'm still raring to get the first part of the roof done. And you know what? I think it would be great, since we don't have time to like finish this by a long shot today. I think it would be cool if we were able to do this on like a follow-up stream where we like pull this out again and work on it. To get it more fleshed out, because like I'm a little focused on this one particular building, but like a town scene has more than one building. Oh no.
It is. So let's get the roof done. So what I'm going to do is let's figure out where that like midpoint is. The midpoint isn't necessarily going to be the exact middle because it's in perspective. So your perspective midpoint is going to be either a little bit closer to you than a little bit closer to you or a little bit farther away. Yeah. Yeah. As a follow-up. Yeah. I guess definitely it's this stuff takes, I think what I'm trying to impart is how much time this stuff can really take, because if you're trying to at least get something that looks even remotely close to right, and this is even before we added all the details, it takes so much time to figure out where everything is.
Problems.
Yeah, it really is so much time. So let's just say instead of this little ridge here, we're just going to go straight to the roof. I think that will be easier. So this will be my midpoint right here. And we're just going to, let's just do a, we'll put that right here. Where did that thing go? Yeah, it's going to go approximately right here. All right.
Drawing lines.
I'm drawing lines, yeah. We'll just see how we can.
Whoa.
All right, I want this to go here. And also, part of this is like it's a lot of trial and error too. This is going to come out. All right, this came in. Okay, so this line comes out. This is going to disappear.
I think I definitely made my building too pointy, because I don't know how, you know how you can like sort of see like up the side of the roof there to kind of like under that ledge.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to make that happen, because
that's what I'm working on right now. So that arc is going from this point to this point here, which is why I try to get these little pieces in here to help that kind of structure. So I'm just building that out because I know that's going to be part of the roof. So actually, we're going to make this a really short.
I'm going to do that then.
Yeah, let's do this instead. This roof is not going to be as tall. I think my building's a little not right in proportion, but I'm also not really on top. I'm gonna claim that I'm not really. This is over here. I'm actually like a foot back, so this is really tough for me to do this. To TBH. So we'll say that. Okay, that's looking better. So that point was about there. So we'll just. Okay, and so this roof is interesting because it's not an exact. So I'm going to exaggerate what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to create, and this is something that I think has helped me at least recently, is that roof is not straight. It's got this cute little curve to it. So instead of trying to add the curve right now, I'm actually just adding straight lines that mimic the curve. So I know that top comes to about here. So I'm going straight, out, and down. And that way I can kind of get that roof to kind of start to come together a little bit.
Oh.
You see what I'm saying? So that way I'm not confusing myself with the curve, and I can also work on perspective as well. So because I know these points have to go to perspective.
But yeah, my Fafesi, mine is also looking a little Seussical at the moment. We're getting like very, very tall and pointy and very squat on the other side.
Oh no, I'm so.
It's fine. I should have just started my drawing like further to the right side of my paper, but I was like, I'm gonna draw in the middle, and then oh no.
Oh
no.
my goodness.
Okay.
I could go to the other drawing you did, which turned out much better than this one, but that's okay though. You just make it work. You make it work. All right, so I want this point. This point comes down here. Now this, I'm confusing myself. Yeah, so that's something that you can do with this is I want it to look.
What have I done?
What?
I don't know.
Shading. Add some shading. Add some shading. That helps everything. That helps everything. Add some shading.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
This is fine. This is fine.
It's fine. It's fine. Add some shading. Shading makes everything look better.
Yeah, just some fiddly details. Just add.
All right.
That's all I can do.
All right. So I'm going to add the top to it, and hopefully that will fix it a little bit. So that makes it a real challenge not to Seuss it up. Yeah, that's the problem. So, and honestly, like there was like some like when you see architecture students and their drafting boards, and they have all of this space to the right and the left, and you're like, why do you need all this space? It's for these vanishing points to be able to draw them all the way out to wherever they want to go. So things look right. It's kind of amazing. You know what I mean? Like, well, I mean, Sharon, you did that for one of your drawings. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. I want the roof to not be a Seuss roof, so I know that it has to be more angled than this. So this is my part of my wall. So instead of being here, I'm just gonna kink it down a little bit, and I'm just guessing, and I'm just going with what kind of looks right, and that doesn't look so bad, does it?
No, but mine doesn't look like that. Mine looks sad.
All right, so
Whee! That's fine. I'm just drawing lines. This is fine.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, I think so that's about where that is.
All right.
Oh no, wait. I can figure that out by putting this here and that there. So that would end up here. Okay. Well, all right. I guess that's where the roof ends. Okay.
This is
we have a very pointy Seussical building. Yeah. This is just fine. This is fine. Oh no. Yeah. Well, it's shaped like a roof. I'm not sure if it's structurally sound, but
no, okay. That's actually not what I want to do. So what I'm doing is just kind of the part where it's like, okay, what lines work? So now that I know what I think perspective should be, it's like, okay, maybe I messed it up somewhere along the way, and now what kind of looks good a little bit. And this is kind of where you can kind of just mess around with things.
Imprecision.
Yeah, this is where imprecision can take over a little bit. And so I'm like, okay, well, how do I make that look a little bit less extreme? I just can kind of clean it up a little bit. Okay, that looks a little better. So I want this to come down here. So now I want to create a little bit more depth in my little building. Let me fix this first. What did I do over here? This comes out. What does this even look like? Okay. All right. This actually needs to come down a little bit more because this is coming out. So this line comes out. So what I'm trying to do is figure out where to get a little bit of volume on things.
Yeah, so that part of my building is really giving me trouble. It kind of makes sense if you don't look at it too close, but if you look at it real close, like as you're trying to like make it make sense, it does not make sense.
That's fine. So this So at that point, like, for example, I'm like, okay, why is this part not working for what I'm doing? What I'm trying to do to fix it is mess with this angle a little bit. So I know when I look at this piece to get that illusion that it's coming off of these little ridges, I know I need to have this actually, I'm going to exaggerate, but this has to come here. And then this point, so this is an additional wood piece on the roof, right? So this point has to come off of it. So it's going to actually come up like this.
Okay. Well, poking around and messing with that part is making mine look a little less derpy.
Yeah.
So
the goal is to make it look less derpy. That is the goal, I think. There's also, and this is also where like a little bit of shading where you're like, I'm just going to shade that and I don't really understand why, but I'm just going to shade that there. It's fine. It's fine. Now, how did this come up? This kind of came up here. So this top of the arc is actually going to come right here. And I don't want it to be as Seuss as it was. So I'm just going to shorten this just a little bit more.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna just completely adopt that term as like how to refer to my buildings. And like when you were talking about drawing that crypt and we were talking about like exaggerating like the angles and stuff, I'm gonna adopt the term "Seuss it up." Definitely.
I like that.
It adds character. It's like, well, it got a little Seussical, but it's whimsical. Great. You know, it's fine. Whimsy in your angles.
I know.
That's great.
But Fancy, do you have much experience dealing with perspective? I guess like what's your experience with illustration and concept art? I'm curious.
Drawing of choice.
Yeah.
It still looks. Oh, it still looks.
All right. Okay. I'm done with the roof. Let's move on to the face. Whatever. It's not looking right. That's fine. That's fine. We're just gonna move on. So.
This is fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine. So we're just gonna add little. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and create this. I took a few years art class. Oh, fantastic! Oh man, you could probably. So you understand how frustrating this some of this can be, especially when perspective doesn't want to cooperate. All right, let's see.
I generally disagree with reality as a rule, so yeah, I can't get perspective to cooperate. All right. Okay, yeah, let's do like a couple
little
quick and dirty things that we need to do for the face, but then we probably got to wrap it up. But we should definitely do like a part 2 for this, so that we can get back to our building face and maybe give it some building friends, and they can all hang out together in their building town land. Yeah, it's great. Okay, what are we doing here?
I'm adding some more dimensions. So what I'm doing is I'm making this an actual column based off of what they have in the reference.
Right. Okay.
This came up here. And this is turning out much better than the roof did. I swear I can draw this roof. I'll go back to my other drawing when we're done and we can talk about it. I swear I can draw this roof. This roof can be drawn. But anyway, so what I'm doing is adding these perspective lines because we have the vanishing point over here. So you're making a box essentially at the base of this building. And then you can push it back. So by cutting it, by putting another line down here, we actually add like a little bit of we're carving into this. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we can do that over here too. So say we want this column to come, and since we're kind of looking right here, this can actually be more or less equal. But this isn't, since we're kind of turned to it a little bit, but this can be more or less equal if we want it.
My planned 1-story building turned into a 2 to 3-story building now.
I have to see this one you've done.
It was too squat originally, and now it has become too tall. I think that's just because I made that vanishing point like way too close. So my angles are like acute, the most acute, even cuter.
Even cuter, indeed, indeed. So yeah, we'll just create a little bit of.
Fine.
Maybe we want to do this. So I'm going to.
Doorway. Maybe this is a door.
Huh?
Maybe I'm drawing a door. I don't know.
Why does this not work? All right. All right.
I don't know about this. This is fine. This is fine.
This is fine. This is fine. Everything is fine.
Okay. And at least I am definitely getting better at recognizing when I need to put the ruler down and like look at the vanishing point in order to determine where this line should go. So that's good.
I'm glad. All right. I am abandoning my little arc because it's not working. So, and that's also what you can do. You can go, this isn't working for me. I'm going to abandon it. So we're just going to, whatever. I need to stop thinking about the stupid Earth. Okay. But
did you just say I need to stop thinking about the stupid Earth?
I do need to stop thinking about the stupid Earth. I do. Okay. I like cannot tell what these angles are, I swear. Okay.
I got distracted by that awning, and I turned something that's not an awning into something that's not an awning. So I don't know about that. I'm gonna have to leave that alone now because I've done something wrong. This is probably a good moment. Let's revisit our goals for the day and apply them to part 2, and then maybe I guess we'll figure out a day that we'll do part 2 and then announce that in the GG Discord, which would be lovely if anyone watching is not in the Discord. Totally should check us out. We have a lovely bunch of folks who talk about all things in all channels, all kinds of good stuff. So there's our little Discord invite down on the bottom of the screen. Be our friends. So yeah, we can pick a date and then we'll probably put it in the announcements channel, maybe on Discord. I don't know. And figure out when we can do part 2 of this. And I'm not going to touch that awning or whatever you're drawing right now. I'm not going to do that until part 2 because I have screwed mine up. It's making me angry. So what would you like? What would you like?
Here's the better room. Here's the better room. Here's the better version of that stupid room. I think I messed up by not putting it too far forward initially.
That's like concave. That's like a concave little support. And I made mine convex. I should have done concave.
Yeah. Here was my warm up for the stream. Yeah, so what I guess to finish off what I was thinking of this little town scene, so that way it's not just us ranting about details, which is very art, actually. It's a very common art thing. But what I really liked about that composition was the idea of this building being, I liked where this building was. I also liked this angle where it was clear that it wasn't exactly parallel to this building. And I think that the cottage house that has that really cool patio with all of those, like the different wood lining, I think that would look really cool here. So it's not as it's not as solid, so you can see a little bit through, like you can see some light through that or whatever. So we can use this building and then the patio from the other building. So that's kind of how we can build scenes like that, is figuring out the pieces we like, maybe simplifying them, to be honest, and then adding on to from other sources. So that's kind of where my thought process was going. Yeah, that's my thought process.
Cool. I like your excuse there, Fofesi. I'm going to adopt it and just say, yes, my awning blew away. It was lifted by a gust of wind, and now you cannot see it anymore. That is why there is no awning on my building. Okay, well, I guess we will come back to finish this on a second stream sometime, and we'll post about when that is in the Discord. Thanks everybody for joining us today. And as a reminder, you can follow Nicole and her art stuff on Instagram. It's at the Thinkmobile on Instagram. She does cool stuff. She did feats of Excursa, and you can get feats of Excursa online, or if you're local to the Richmond area, at Alpha Comics and Games in Willow Lawn, Virginia. Richmond, Virginia, that is. Willow Lawn, Richmond, Virginia. And yeah, thank you everybody for hanging out. Yeah, architectural elements and texture next time. That might have to be part 3, depending on how slow I am at following along. But yeah, I definitely want to go into more architecture elements and texture. Like I think that the stonework that you did on the cover art for Excursa is really cool. But yeah, okay. If you have anything else that you would like to say now, and then we're gonna go ahead and bounce out of here.
No, just thanks for joining, and thanks for inviting me, Sharon. This was fun. Yeah, looking forward to more sessions.
Yeah, we will see you later, and we will turn out a town drawing if it kills us. Bye, everybody.
Bye.